You know that feeling when you scroll through a sea of glossy product photos. The headline promises the ultimate all-in-one desktop, and then the unit lands on your desk feeling underwhelming? I've been there a lot, especially with desktop computers that look sleek online, but end up being a compromise on real work, video calls, or even just keeping the family's photo album organized. That's why I wanted to break down the new 2024 iMac, so you can skip the guesswork and decide if it truly belongs in your workspace before you spend a premium. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the space factor, because that's where the iMac really starts to differentiate itself. The all-in-one chassis is only a few millimeters thick, and the whole thing sits on a minimalist stand that takes up almost nothing on a typical desk. I measured it in my home office, a 24-inch display, but the footprint is roughly the size of a large notebook. For anyone living in a smaller apartment or sharing a desk with a laptop, that thin profile means you can actually use the screen as the primary monitor without it feeling like a clunky tower hogging the corner. The downside: the back panel is all-in-one too, so you only get two Thunderbolt/USB 4 ports, a headphone jack, and a power connector. If you're used to plugging a printer, an external drive, and a separate webcam all at once, you'll need a hub. It's a trade-off that's easy to miss in the marketing video, but it matters when you're trying to keep a tidy cable garden. Now, the display is where Apple usually shines, and the 24-inch 4.5K Retina panel lives up to that reputation. The colors are vivid enough that when I edited a family photo album on Lightroom, the skin tones looked natural and the greens in the landscape popped without any extra calibration. The screen's 500 nits brightness and P3 wide color gamut also make it a solid choice for watching HDR content on Netflix, and I found the 120 Hz refresh rate surprisingly smooth for scrolling through long documents or browsing the web. If you spend a lot of time reading code or working with spreadsheets, the crisp text reduces eye strain compared to many standard 1080p monitors. However, the lack of a built-in color calibration tool means professionals who demand absolute color accuracy still need an external calibrator. Performance-wise, the M4 chip is the headline. It packs a 10-core CPU and a 10-core GPU, which translates to snappy app launches and smooth multitasking. I opened Safari, Mail, a few Chrome tabs, and Photoshop all at the same time, and the system never hiccuped. When I exported a 4K video project from Final Cut Pro, the render time was noticeably faster than on my older Intel-based iMac. The unified 16 GB of memory helps keep those heavy apps from swapping to the SSD, which is especially important given the modest 256 GB storage. Speaking of storage, that's where the iMac starts to feel tight. A 256 GB SSD fills up quickly if you keep a library of large video files, high-resolution photos, or even a hefty collection of games. I ended up using an external SSD for my project files, which adds a small extra cost and another cable to manage. Apple Intelligence is baked into this model, and that's a feature you'll notice only if you're already deep in the Apple ecosystem. The system can surface relevant information from your emails, calendar, or notes while you're working in a document, and it can suggest shortcuts based on your usage patterns. For a writer juggling multiple drafts, that contextual help can shave a few minutes off each session. If you're a Windows-only user or don't use iCloud services, the benefit is more of a novelty than a productivity boost. Audio and webcam upgrades are subtle but meaningful. The built-in 12MP ultra-wide camera captures a clear, well-exposed image even in a room with just a lamp, and the automatic framing keeps you centered during Zoom calls. The 3-mic array reduces background noise, making my voice sound clearer when I'm on conference calls. The stereo speakers deliver surprisingly rich sound for a desktop, enough to enjoy a podcast or a casual music session without needing external speakers. If you're a gamer or audio professional, you'll still want a headset or dedicated speakers, but for everyday video chats and media consumption, the built-in hardware feels polished. So, who should really consider buying this iMac? If you're already using an iPhone, iPad, or MacBook, the continuity features like dragging files across devices, answering calls, or unlocking the iMac with your Apple Watch make the transition seamless. Creatives who need a color-accurate display for photo or video editing will appreciate the Retina panel and the M4's GPU power, especially when paired with Apple's own software suite. Small home offices, teaching spaces, or freelancers who value a tidy desk and an aesthetically pleasing machine will find the design and integrated webcam a big win. The price point, while higher than a comparable Windows All-in-One, is justified if you're buying into the Apple ecosystem and want that out-of-the-box experience.